Hey guys, I am here today with this. This is the 2023 Toyota RAV4 PRIME. Let's get into it. Truth be told, I haven't always been a fan of the RAV4 because before 2019, it was ugly and underpowered. So there I said it. And then I drove it in 2019. I reviewed it here. You can watch my video and I loved it. So when they came out with the plug-in hybrid, I was like, let me give this a try. Let's get into it. And if you don't know who I am, I'm Motorhead Mama. Listen, I am a lifelong automotive enthusiast. And so I started an anonymous blog as a joke called Motorhead Mama, so I could say whatever I thought, and it kind of took off. So people keep asking me for automotive advice, so I review cars. So if you're into stuff like that and making fun of cars and joking at people who think they're too cool for school, please subscribe to my blog and or this YouTube channel. I'd appreciate it. Thanks. Okay, if you're looking at the RAV4 hybrid and you're not an automotive enthusiast, that is okay. Just keep that in mind when you're reading reviews of this thing. Listen, it doesn't have tremendous horsepower and torque. This electric motor is going to help you out a little bit, but a lot of reviewers and a lot of enthusiasts are going to say, like, it doesn't hold the road very well, and they're totally right. You don't take the RAV4 to the track, but do you take the RAV4 to carpool? Yes, you do. Do you take the RAV4 to do errands? Absolutely. Do you feel safe with your children? I did, and I want to tell you a little bit more about that. So the RAV4 hybrid has Toyota's safety sense, of course that doesn't mean anything to you. It means nothing to no one unless you're a Toyota employee or dealer. But what that means is it's got automatic braking, and to be honest with you, I tested it out and it was fantastic. It was a little jarring, but it was fantastic, and it protected me and my daughter who were in stop and go traffic when someone stopped abruptly in front of us. And let me tell you, that is an important feature that if you're looking at vehicles and you have a family and you want to stay safe, a really important feature to keep in mind. And I was impressed with the way that Toyota's worked. So the RAV4 plug-in hybrid, they call it the Prime. I kept this thing dirty so you guys would know I've been taking this on the craziest roads here in Southern California because they closed Topanga Canyon Boulevard, which means I had to go up and over on these crazy, terrifying torrential roads. I'll show you a little bit of the footage here to see how this would do. And to be honest with you, it was impressive. So let's talk a little bit about the engine and the electric motor and having a plug-in hybrid. So this engine is going to put out 302 horsepower and 165 foot-pound of torque. Again, if you're an automotive enthusiast, that's a big yawn. However, but if you're rolling around town, it's totally fine. I found the way that the electric motors worked with the regular internal combustion motor was very, very smooth. And you're like, what are you talking about, Motorhead Mama? What I'm saying is it isn't jerky, which happens sometimes with plug-in hybrids. It was very nice. Also, in terms of mileage, so a lot of people are going to get this vehicle because they want great mileage. I totally get that. Toyota is claiming a 92 MPGe, which is essentially their, adjusted miles per gallon when they allow for the electric motor. I was averaging, frankly, 42 miles to the gallon, which isn't incredible for a plug-in hybrid, but I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that now. Who should get this car and who shouldn't really depends on how you drive. So as I told you guys earlier, I live in a very mountainous area, as you can see behind me, and so thus I had to go up some crazy mountains due to mudslides. I know, bravo, California. And that meant I was using a lot of power. And I found that the electric range just couldn't keep up with what I was doing. Of course, some of you are gonna say, well, you went downhill. Wouldn't the regenerative braking charge the electric motor? No. I would go down a steep hill and end up with 5 miles. So what I'm telling you guys is if you do a lot of flat driving, you're running around town all day, you're running errands, you're running the kids to soccer and all this kind of stuff, the plug-in hybrid will be great for you. EV only range on this vehicle is only 42 miles, so please keep that in mind. So one way to think about the RAV4 Prime is to think about it as a EV with training wheels. So that Toyota hasn't come out with an all-electric RAV4 yet, but they will. And when they do, if you have a plug-in hybrid, you'll kind of be ready, right? Because you would have already gone through this process. Or, like I said before, you have to think about how you drive. Another thing to think about is the incentives. So this vehicle is manufactured in Japan, which means you're not eligible for the $7,500 federal tax incentives because it is made overseas. If you want more details on that, please check out this video here. If you are test driving cars right now, you're gonna get in a lot of cars and you're gonna look at all these fancy screens and all these beautiful interiors, and it's gonna all look fantastic. But if I were you, I would just drive it and see what works for you. One of the things I really like about what Toyota's done here is they've kept a lot of buttons. You know what? I have a vehicle at home that only has all touchscreen, and it's terrible. It makes me absolutely insane, especially if you're nervous or in a stressful situation. Sometimes it's really nice to have a button and things that are familiar. That said, the RAV4 driver's seat is fantastic, as is the interaction. Okay, so a couple things about this driver's seat. We've got a wireless charging pad here. They've got this big touch screen that they've upgraded for this year, which is fantastic. The cup holders, love them. Guess what? Stanley Cup. Of course, I don't pay full price, but I got this at TJ Maxx. Fit here in my cup holder, and in fact, I got two fitting in here yesterday. So keep that in mind. That's fantastic. The driver's seat itself is wide enough to accommodate larger people, but also curved enough so that if you're smaller, you're not kind of swimming around in it. I thought the driver's seat was great. Okay guys, let's talk about the back seat. Listen, you can actually fit 3 kids back here comfortably, which is great. We've also got USB-C chargers down here. There are 2 of them. There is also an integrated armrest with cup holders. And there's plenty of legroom here. So you could put an adult back here and they wouldn't be unhappy. There's also a very large sunroof that opens. Sometimes they'll say moonroof and that means it doesn't open. So keep that in mind when you're test driving stuff. And it's kind of basic, but great. So if you're looking at used versus new RAV4s, I wanted to talk about that a little bit. Like I said, they redid this vehicle in 2019 and they haven't done major upgrades since. But does that mean you should just buy an old RAV4 and not buy the new one? There's a couple of things to think about. The big changes for 2023 were standard Apple CarPlay and standard Android Auto, both of those being wireless. That's a big deal if you want to stay safe. So there you have it, the 2023 Toyota RAV4 Prime. It's a great car, it's a great plug-in hybrid, but you got to think about whether or not the upcharge is right for you. I'm Motorhead Mama. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe.